Mama Chona, le Joseph Mbutana Molobo, ke le Polokwe, le Hlaba Kotswana, le Hlaba Ko ka le Mau ka Sebuno, le Hlaba le isa forong ha mafahwane. Mafahwane a eja a e halala, a re kgutla hape o e eketsa, motho wa o etsi.
Welcome to the Journey with Mpo podcast, a sacred space for healing, love, and rediscovering your life purpose. Introducing your host, Mpo.
Hello, beautiful and handsome Journey with Mpo family. We have finally made it to yet another exciting episode. Once Mercury went into retro what, our creative juices took a different, tampered down path. Would you believe me if I told you that during this Mercury fire dance, we were in conversation with 5 guests and nothing concrete developed? I thought I was going crazy, but then I heard a voice say, perhaps it's time to slow down. Rework the soil, plant new seeds, hence I am super stoked to introduce a new fun segment to the show. This episode is the first of what we hope will become a consistent and fun game. No prizes, no hard rules, just pure, sometimes hard fun. Welcome to 3 Poets in a Room. Here's how it works. The segment is titled In a Room. So whenever you see these words in an episode title, know 3 things. 1, the episode is strictly a maximum of 45 minutes. 2, this is a safe place to be vulnerable. 3, the concept is the same. So what is the concept? This is how the game works. In front of us is a bowl filled with questions related to the game topic, 3 poets. We are sitting in a circle, and each of us will take turns drawing questions from the jar. All of us will answer the question, providing little to no explanation. The person drawing the question has the power to ask anyone in the circle a follow-up question. The person being asked the follow-up question has the obligation to answer the question or use their out-of-jail card, which in this case will be to recite a short poem written by them. Note, the drawer is not obligated to ask a follow-up question. Think of this game as Never Have I Ever, because yes, some questions were inspired by that game. What are some of the questions in the jar, you ask? Let me start off by giving parents the opportunity to kick the kids out of the room. If you're in the car, then drop them off on the highway. I joke, we love the kids, but this episode is not for their innocent ears, so protect them. Let me entice you. The questions are, have you ever written a poem about your ex and performed it in front of or for your current? Have you ever plagiarized a poem? Have you ever fallen in love with a poet? Have you ever lied about liking a fellow poet's poem? Have you ever used poetry to get laid? Guys, I am stoked to bring this episode to your ears. It is a great opportunity to loosen up, relax, laugh, and have some fun. I am thankful for the friends who entertain and support my wild, crazy ideas. So in the studio with us today is Anthony Harris. You will remember him from his episode Dirty 30. The other guest really does not need an intro. He has been on the show countless times, and I don't mind if you think we're related. Hi, gentlemen. Welcome.
What up?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Yo, I'm so happy and nervous and happy and nervous.
Don't hold anything against me today, please.
That's rule number 3. Don't judge. Well, yeah, pretty much. Okay, are you guys excited? Ready?
Both.
Let's do it.
Well, I don't even know if I'm ready. I'm excited. I don't know if I'm quite ready.
I am. Let's do it.
Okay, so just so you guys don't think I cheated, Z, I'll have you mix up the questions, and then we'll start with Anthony, who'll pick out a question for us.
Get some good ones. Get up in there, bro. Get up in there.
You ready?
Go.
First question. Fastest time you have ever written a poem?
Fastest time would probably be like 2 hours.
Okay. So maybe 30.
30 minutes?
30 minutes. Yeah.
Well, are we talking? Well, if we go like workshops, then
Yes.
probably like 10, 15 minutes. But talking about a real poem, then probably like 2 hours.
Right.
hours,
I'll
yeah.
say the same thing. If we're talking about something a little bit shorter, as a matter of fact, for Z's Lyrical Lounge, you know, I used to write those in about 10 to 15 minutes. But a real poem, I say probably about an hour and a half.
Yeah. The thing is, I partially write my poems in my head, and then by the time I'm on paper, I'm just like spitting whatever was in my head over days.
Exactly.
Right. It's just hard. I mean, it's hard, you know. A lot of us tend to start becoming perfectionists. So, you know, once you do that, it's one thing to get the poem out there, but then, you know, once we start rereading and editing and adjusting, I mean, you know, an hour turns into 3 hours, 4 hours real quick. So
Exactly.
Do you have a follow-up question? I think we kind of answered.
Do I have a follow-up question to this question? Let's see, my follow-up question to this question.
You have the option to skip if you want to.
I'm gonna skip. I only have a follow-up question to that one. Specifically.
So I pick now.
Yeah, you go, Z.
Let me hear some. Can a character be judged by his or her poetry? Ooh.
Yes. I'm going to leave it at that, yeah.
I'm going to say yes as well. I believe that a lot of times when you're true to your poetry and, you know, you write about exactly what you feel and your truth, then people have the right to judge that, you know, and but it's your truth, and however they judge it.
Okay. Follow-up question. Have you ever not wanted to be friends with someone because of a poem that they read?
Heck yeah.
Oh, she was ready. Oh, snap. Okay.
I mean, there are certain things, like if someone reads out a homophobic poem, then I'm going to have some problems, you know. Homophobia is going to be like a definite no-no for me. Because in the poetry scene, you'll see a lot of that, like jokingly, gay, yada, yada, yada. No, I'm not for that. So I'll probably not go out and actively befriend that person.
I don't believe that I would not want to be somebody's friend. I feel like generally people will give you red flags. For me to call somebody a friend, I feel like they don't give you red flags before that for me to be friends. But I will say, to the point of the question, I do believe poetry has made me judge certain people differently based off what they've written. I've had to look at things like, oh, okay, this is how you feel about that for real, you know, and that has made me think twice about, okay, you know, how to interact with certain things, or how do I address this now if I want to continue to be friends with this person, you know, how do we address this and talk about it, because it might be something that, you know, for me, it's something that this is me and you talking really negatively right now, you know, but we're friends, you know, so.
I feel that.
What do you think? Can we judge a character by his poetry?
Yes, but I will say, I mean, some people write like novelty poems, you know, some people write poems that's like, don't take this as, like, don't take this poem too seriously.
Okay,
You know, like, I had a poem like 10 things I hate when people ask me, you know. It's like, people are going to ask me. I'm not going to come at you and, like, chop your head off for asking me these 10 questions, you know. But it's like, I wrote the poem in, like, a novelty way. So it's not like, I'm not an angry person, you know. It's just some stuff get on my nerves, but I ain't going to be mad about it, you know. So, yeah. And I mean, I also have written some pretty graphic, erotic poems. But don't judge me off of those.
They're not true?
I mean, I ain't saying it ain't true. I just say like,
we
I'm
know
not,
you get people hot in the pants when you spit those.
I'm just not as graphic a person as my poem would lead you to believe I am. That's all it is.
So you don't want people to hold you to the standards you write your poems. Okay.
I'm just saying though, I'm gonna leave it right there.
Okay, I'm gonna draw the next question. Let's see. Ooh, I'm glad I drew this one. Have you ever used your poetry to get laid?
You wanna take that one from me?
I have. I will say I have. I have used my ability to weave words together to my advantage at times. Absolutely, yes, yes. I don't want to say purposely, like I don't want to say purposely. I don't want to say purposely, but you also know what you're doing, So
yeah. So yes, I will piggyback off of that. I will say that I have spit some poems, and subsequently have had relations with people after the fact. But it wasn't that I came there to spit a poem to get someone to sleep with me. But it has been a byproduct a few times, or more than that. But yeah.
Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting that one, but okay. Y'all getting to know your host today. Yes.
If you didn't know, now you know.
We're just gonna leave it at that. Since, I got the question, so I asked the follow-up questions. How many times do you think you've done it, Ant?
I'll say about 3 times it has happened to me locally.
Okay. Fair enough.
I've only been doing poetry for like a year and a half. So
in your defense?
Yeah. So I would say about the same, probably like 3, 4,
5, 6.
I mean, that's just based off of. I'm saying that based off of people that I have met at a poetry show, or hit me up after the show and be like, "Yo, that was dope," and then we started talking because of that.
Okay.
So I would say like somewhere around 4 or 5.
Okay.
So it went from 3 or 4 to 4 or 5. Okay.
Less than 10. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Anthony, save Z, draw a question.
Have you ever lied about liking a fellow poet's poem?
Yo, I feel as though you have to. Like, you have to. And because first off, we are sensitive about our stuff.
Yes.
And it's just like when you in that space, it's all about sharing. It's about love and kumbaya and all of that stuff, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And like to tell someone like, oh, that poem was trash. Like if you tell somebody that poem was trash, that means that you are their friend, and you are telling them that because you want it to get better, but not just be like, nah, bro, you suck. I don't think any poet does that.
Yeah. I think I'll piggyback on that. I always say poems were nice, even though I don't necessarily think they were. I think it builds up spirit to continue writing and to continue getting better. So I don't have the guts actually to tell anyone that their poem was not it, because I'm self-critical. So I don't think I'm in any position to judge the next person and be like, oh, you shouldn't be writing, or that was a junk poem. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I think that our community is tough enough to get on stage as it is, So and especially when it's more so, as bad as it sounds, it's probably happened more so with poets that I know. Usually that are newer to the poetry scene and whatnot, and that's mainly to get them to keep on writing and show them that we do support. Because regardless, honestly speaking, at the end of the day, good poetry, bad poetry, who are we to really judge the poetry? Because a lot of times, you're writing something based off of your feelings and your experiences and whatever. And when we've been doing it for a little while, it's easier for us to critique things. But especially when you're new in the scene, the last thing you want to hear somebody is be like, "Oh, that's terrible. That's trash."
Soul crushing.
Right? And you hope that they start coming to like the workshops and learn how to craft their poems better. And I have seen that here, where poets who maybe aren't that good starting out or whatnot, they get the support, they know they got the backing of people, and they start going to these workshops and start befriending other people who are known in the community out here, and they get better, over time. I think also that's what it's all about.
Definitely. I will say this though, if you start off such as I did, start off straight in slams, indirectly the judges will tell you that your poem is not that great.
Oof.
When I started off slamming,
That's rough,
I could
yeah.
not get above a 7. And so that was indirectly telling me that you need to go and work on your stuff. And so that helps.
That's how I was too. I mean, the first time I did poetry out here, I slammed and it wasn't too great, So
Yeah.
We've all been there, man. We've all
Hawaiian
been there.
Brian, as a matter of fact, first time I ever
Hawaiian
slammed.
Me
Brian.
too.
First time I ever slammed.
I got all
Crushed your soul.
7s, bro. Like 7, 7, 7, 7. Oh well.
Okay, Z, hit us with the next question.
Oh boy.
Have you ever faked an orgasm? Ooh, quiet up in here. Ooh.
So many times.
So many times.
So many times.
Getting to know your host today.
If you didn't know, now you know. So many times, huh?
Yeah, Anthony, you're next.
Oh, no. I'm scared of that one. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna say yes. There are times where it has been difficult to get to that elevated state, and once I get too tired, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
So yes.
The sound effects.
And I roll over and get my
You might have to edit that out.
roll over and get my towel, like everything is complete.
Like, I'm done.
I'm done.
I 100% agree with what Anthony just said. I'm not gonna do the sound effect, but
It's already out there.
But yeah, man, I've definitely been there before. I ain't gonna get too into detail about it. I'm glad that I picked this question.
I mean, you can ask a follow-up.
Question. Have you ever been in mid coitus and figured out that you was not as attracted to the person as you thought you were, and then you had to fake it to make it out?
So my strategy
Is
is usually to try and avoid even getting to the sex part. Like if we're not there physically and mentally and spiritually, then we probably shouldn't be in bed. If I can get past that, then I probably will. I have been though in a situation where I'm in bed and I'm like, I really cannot find the in the depths of my soul. Like they're not a bad person or whatever. And the reason I have faked orgasms before is, I don't know, how do you tell a guy that was bad sex? I feel like it's a bruise to the ego because men are correct me if I'm wrong, but I think men are all about sex and I got good game and I can give good sex. So if you're kind of just that sucked, thank you, bye, then I don't know, it feels kind of harsh.
Yeah, I mean, I could say something about women too. I mean, imagine as a man,
Okay.
telling a woman your sex was horrible. You're bad in bed. That to me, you want to talk about bruising the ego. That's
speak on it.
That's tough. To Z's follow-up question though, I have been in situations to where I have been very attracted to an individual, and then just to get in bed and start to realize that something just is not working, in the situation, So it's not because I'm not attracted to you physically. Maybe you're not doing what I like, or maybe, maybe I feel like it's boring, or maybe it could be okay. Maybe if I was a little bit inebriated, my inebriation came down, and I'm just like, this not the thing, And I think the worst thing that's ever happened in that situation is where my guy done went to a little guy, you know, and
Okay.
to me that's almost as big of an ego bust, you know, to somebody as telling somebody to have bad sex, because now, you know, you have to make an excuse of why it's like that. Well, I was drunk, I was, you know, whatever, and that's.
But just to ask you guys then, I hear what you're saying, Anthony, and I'm thinking about the term toxic sex. Does that exist? Can we potentially get addicted to having sex with people that we don't necessarily like because we don't want to try sex with new people?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an absolute thing.
That's an absolute thing.
Okay.
Yes. I've been there. I don't want to elaborate because people are listening. But
well, I wish I would have asked that question.
Paul, I think it's your turn.
Oh my goodness, save us. Have you ever written a poem about your ex and performed it in front of your current?
I've definitely done that, but I would say it because of this. The poem that I wrote about this past lover was a super dope poem. Okay, like I really liked the poem, and so we went to I think it was like a love poet. It was one of those it was Entice. She had a poetry show, and it was about love poems and something like that. And so I don't really have a lot of love poems, I'm in love with you poems, but I have a lot of heartbreak poems. Okay. And then I wrote that one about a specific person, and it just so happened that my current girlfriend was there, but I asked her before we got there if it was okay if I read it. So I didn't just hit her with it, you know.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I gotta take some notes from you.
I don't have a current, so I can't say I spit it.
Hint, ladies.
Ooh. So I can't say I've spit in front of a current. I will say I have wrote poems more recently about my ex, and I have performed them live on social media for the whole world, including her if she wanted to join into a live session to see, you know, and that goes for anybody else that I have conversed with or anything like that. They would know it was about, you know, my ex and whatnot. So
I want to say this: I don't have a current either. I just want to throw that in there.
Okay.
These men.
I mean, I felt that somebody. I just had to say it.
Throw that in there.
Just
oh my God! So I'm here and I'm like, these men. Oh my goodness! In South African, we say "hebatung." Like, what the actual hell? Okay, so God bless my husband's soul, guys. Like, So when I said I gotta take notes from you, I mean, maybe I should prepare Michael, because I'm kind of like, okay, we're going to a poetry show. I'm sorry if the shit I perform doesn't resonate with you and it's kind of difficult to hear. Which I think, you know, as a poet, when you're dating or married to a poet, you kind of expect that at some point you're going to end up in a poem or hear poems about other people. Yeah. And so I take it for granted and I just go and I perform. Sometimes I'll ask like, ooh, how did you feel about that one? You know, because it's kind of rough. Sometimes there's a lot of details in the poem for one person to bear.
What I will say is I've, and probably to my fault, I've never asked permission or how anybody felt about me writing a poem. As a matter of fact, I can remember the first time I ever recited Nosy Neighbors. I don't know if you remember that one. So it's an erotic poem.
Okay.
And it made my ex feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When I recited, because obviously, you know, there's women in the crowd that love that poem, you know. Okay. And I'm talking about a female in the poem, and my ex knows that's not her, just based off of how the poem is, you know.
Okay.
So
maybe you and I should take notes from Z.
Well, that has happened to me as well, right there. You know, somebody was like, "I know that wasn't about me because you said this, and that's not me." And I'm like, "Are you sure that ain't you?" But nah, she's right. You're right. My bad.
Okay, Anthony, let's go.
Try.
I like this game. This game is fun.
What's the worst thing you have done in the name of poetry?
I think there is an addiction to trauma sometimes I've been like, oh, maybe I need my heart broken a little bit so I could write better.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the worst things that I've done in the name of poetry. But I also think staying in toxic spaces, you know, in the Hawaii community, we love poetry. But sometimes we go there knowing we'll get triggered, but we stay there regardless. So maybe going to spaces where I shouldn't be going, and then writing poems or craving hurt into my life so that I can write better.
Okay, I got you now. Me having conversations with my borderline racist coworkers. I would do that, and then I would write about it. And it is definitely, I didn't even realize it until you just said that, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, but you know me, I just like to debate about, you know, political situations.
Yeah.
And so I do that anyway, but I find myself finding a lot of stuff to write about, and on Facebook, like scrolling through Facebook, man.
Yeah.
Y'all saw that poem I just posted about people on Facebook, bro?
Oh, my
And I swear that
I'm glad you
morning,
apologized to your mama.
I had to apologize to my mama because I went off. But that morning, I had already was just like, yo, I'm done with Facebook, man. I ain't gonna do it no more. But then I just found myself scrolling through more, and I saw more, and it was just giving me fuel to write the poem. So yeah, I can see that. That would be my worst thing, scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah. What about you, Ed?
I will say that staying affiliated with certain people as a benefit to get my name out more so within the poetry community.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a small community.
It is, and you know, because it's so small, there are things that we are privy to that other people in the audiences and you know just bystanders, whatever, aren't privy to.
Yeah.
And we can make choices and decisions based off of that.
Yeah.
And I am guilty of using people in a sense, knowing that they aren't necessarily in the right space or good for me necessarily, but it will further get my name out and promote me and whatnot, to where, you know, Simply Ant is a known name out here, you know. So I have utilized that, not anymore, but that'll probably be my.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I'm gonna pick another question. Okay. What's the best thing you've done in the name of poetry?
This podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's got to be this podcast.
Writing my couple books, probably. I've been able to reach a different volume and space of people to be able to get different messages out. So, you know, it doesn't always have to be erotic or aggressive. You know, I've also been able to get, you know, motivational things out there, mentorship things out there. You know, people who really want the courage to do things like we do, even though it's still nerve-wracking for just about all of us.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to people and, you know, just help them find their own artistic flow, because everybody's not poetry. It can be music, it can be dance, it can be whatever. But the poetry community has definitely enabled me to do that and get my name out there to the point to where people listen to what I gotta say. I've enjoyed that thoroughly.
I would say two things. One is doing virtual open mics and slams.
Yes.
Dad has Lyrical Faith. She's a poet. She said that it has liberated the poetry community because so many of us have met each other that would never be able to meet, you know. And it's like we've created this community online to where as though like it's, you know, like every time you go to a open mic, it's always that same core group of people there.
Yeah.
So like virtual open mics is the same thing, but everybody's in a different state. And so that's super dope. I also would say learning more about poetry as a business and about how to get better at it. I've been doing these virtual workshops with poets, and they have taught me a tremendous amount of things. Taught me, like Brandon Leake said it best. He said that when he started, he realized how much he loved poetry, but he didn't respect it as an art form. And he didn't realize it until like after he got shot down from America's Got Talent the first time. And he had to go and study poetry and listen to poetry and write poetry more and read poetry. And he had to make his life about it and improve himself. And so that at the time he got back to America's Got Talent, he got a gold buzzer. So he didn't even realize that he didn't respect it as much. And I felt as though, since I've only been doing it for a short amount of time, I feel as though I'm in the same boat, and now I'm trying to change that. So, yeah.
Ladies, I'm selling 2 humble men. I'll take money. It's not human trafficking. It's men sale. Listen, guys, Anthony just has his book out, his poetry book. Zia and myself just got copies. So he is a humble poet, author. Z, on the other hand, just won a slam. He's $200 richer. So the best things they've been doing for poetry.
Yeah.
Let's get another question.
Let's see.
Clears your throat on that one. Oh, man.
Have you ever pre-arranged to be bailed out of a date?
Yes. Yes, I have. It's been a while, but yes, I have. I'm going to leave it at that.
I don't think I have, actually. I don't think I have. Only cause like, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, when I go on a first date, I'm going very optimistic.
Okay.
So I've never been like, yo, just in case, yo, just hit my phone at this time, you know? Like, I don't think I've ever done that. No, that's one thing I haven't done. Okay.
I have. I have. You just don't know. Like, you just don't know, you know? I'm going to the bathroom, you text your friend, call me and say your mom died. Just start crying.
Damn.
Call me and say your mom died. Get me out of here.
I literally prearranged it before I went. Like, hey, I need you to call my phone at this. It's a work issue. Priority outage. I need you need to come in right now.
Anthony knows. I don't know. Like,
you know what though? I'll say this. So it's happened to me. That thing has happened to me twice. But I do know the one time I can remember for sure. I'm not one to go back on my word. So if I say, for whatever reason, if I'm in a drunk state and we texting and you say let's go on a date and I say cool, let's do this, and I wake up next morning like, the hell was I thinking? I'm still going on this date, you know, because I told you I was going to do it, you know.
Okay.
Now, I will say, I think with this particular individual, that was pretty much the incident, and I was trying to build some type of rapport with this person.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it. We were just texting, and I was like, I couldn't do it.
Okay.
But she had already reserved some stuff and whatnot, and I was like, I made reservations. I don't say reserve, made some reservations, and I was like, man, I don't want to tell her no.
Yeah.
So luckily, it was like a group. It was like 4 people, which made it easier for me to be like, all right, hey, I need you to call in about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And it's an outage, and I gotta go. And then, we never really talked again after that. So, but I went on a date though. And then listen, because honestly, had I went, and then for some magical reason, we vibed like that when we hadn't for the last like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Then I would have canceled the.
I mean, his reason was honorable. I was just like, I don't really like this person, but again, I don't want to go back on my word. I said I'd be there, so I'm gonna go be there. But just say your mom died.
Yeah. If I'm my right mom. Some people say I'm nonchalant or savage or whatnot. I'll just be like, nah. I'm my right mind. I'm good on it. I'm good on it. Too grown for that.
Okay, let's have you draw a question.
And
have you ever cried while writing poetry?
Yes. I have definitely cried, but more than once, definitely. I cried because my mom called me and my sperm donor dude, that guy, he's sick or whatever, and my mom was telling me to reach out to him, but I've never talked to him for more than like 10 minutes in my life. And she's just like, well, you ain't gonna get the time to make things right if he passes away. And I'm just like, so? And so I wrote the first and only poem that I've ever written about him. And I shed some on that one. The most of the time that I have done it though was writing poems to my ex, drunk, and just writing poems, because you gotta be on your Drake stuff. Writing poems to your ex drunk.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is
I've
true.
Definitely done that.
But you get some of your best material out there kind of stuff,
bro. But I've never read any of those poems in public. I've only read one of those poems in public, and that was one of the very first ones I wrote about her. I have more poems that I've written to my ex than any other type of poems I have.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I've never read any of them in public.
I have to. I'm a crier. I only write when I'm most affected, so I'll probably be crying all the time I write. Yeah, it's a thing that I do. It's how I explore my pain, I guess. So if I'm not crying, then it's not real. I'm starting to learn how to disassociate pain with poetry, because poetry can be happy, but for whatever reason my brain is stuck on the tears on the paper. So
I can't say I've cried writing a poem. I have cried reciting a poem. I have been in an emotional spot writing poetry. But I don't want to say I've cried. It take a lot to make me cry. It take a whole lot to make me cry. At this point in my life, for real, outside of just serious injury that just hurts, and my children and my mother, it take a lot to make me cry. Usually when I'm in an emotional spot writing poetry, I'm more in a mad spot, and when I'm mad, I'm just I'm just fuming, but I just get all my aggression out on paper. It don't take me to cry, because at that time I'm just writing. I don't really care what I write. I'm just writing. And at the end of the day, when I come back and look at whatever, if I think it's something that could formulate into something, I'll start chopping it from there. But when I'm angry, that's how I guess I get out my emotions. A lot of times, a lot of people do it with tears. I get out just writing. I just start writing whatever I feel. It don't have to necessarily be a poem. Kind of like Z said, not necessarily with my ex, but I have so much poetry that come from emotional places that I have never recited, just because I need to get what I'm feeling out on paper right now. Right now, I could be at work and be pissed off, and I'll go on my computer at work and start typing, and email it to myself when I'm done,
It's pretty good. We're pretty much on the same.
Okay.
I want to hear those poems.
I was just about to say, that's my follow-up question. Before you go, can we get one of those poems while we on this session right now?
You either do another poem or you do the poems. That's your out of jail card.
I'm gonna pick up.
You have to at least spit. You have to spit one of those, but if you don't want to do, you have to spit a poem. If you deny,
that was okay. Y'all for real. Okay. I'm gonna see if I have some in my phone. If I start crying up in here.
Anthony, this is all on you. I wasn't here. I didn't do this.
I had to go there one time.
I haven't seen Z cry all my life. Now I'm about to see him cry.
Oh man. Shit! I can't believe I'm doing this. I did. This is one of those ones that I did right in one of my drunk states. I haven't read this out loud ever, so I'm probably gonna mess it up.
Save space.
Sometimes apologies isn't enough. Sometimes I'm sorry is just a band-aid on an amputated limb. Sometimes apologies is just a dam until the tsunami hits. But what happens when you don't get to apologize? What happens when closure isn't an option? And you're left with a bundle of sorrows burning a hole in your pocket. Your explanations, rationale, and logical arguments are transferred into excuses before you even get to let them out. What do I do when I'm full of words but have no pen to write? What do I do when I'm full of understanding but I'm met with a closed mind? Who do I apologize to when the one I wronged is intentionally unavailable? Where do I channel this river of sorrow when the dam refuses to let go and get it to the ocean? So I hold on to the guilt, to the pain, hold on to the self-hate that drives me into self-destruction, that forces everyone out into the abyss because I can't bear to hear another, "Are you okay?" I can't hear another, "Maybe you're better off." Maybe it was meant to be, burns like coals on my skin that only she can take off. But she's not even here to see the red hot soot against my skin. She refuses to even glance at my pain because I'm the source of hers. So how can I resent that? How can I dare demand stitches to be placed on a heart that I cut open? How can I dare demand closure to a door that I knocked off the hinges? But what else can I do? What do I do when this guilt parachute refuses to deploy? It seems as if I'm left watching the ground get closer. It seems as if I'm forced to watch my own demise catch up to me in real time. But the ground never gets here. And I'm stuck in a perpetual anxiety of hitting it, but I never know when. Trapped in the thought that maybe the sweet release of death will relieve me of this burden. But maybe I deserve purgatory instead. Maybe this is where I belong. Regardless if I do or not, this is where I live now. And this is maybe where I die. Thanks, guys. Making me read that.
You did that.
I didn't make him read that one. That was good. That was deep, man.
That was really good.
That was deep.
That was one of those ones, I was probably like hella drunk and I had to write that one out. My relationship ended, but I never got to talk to her afterwards.
Yeah.
So I had to hold on to all of those emotions, and the only way to get it out is to write about it. And I still haven't talked to her. It's been over a year.
That's what I learned about ghosting. I used to be an active ghoster. I just delete people's numbers, block them, whatever, done. But I realized you have to give people the gift of closure. You owe them an explanation. If you guys have spent set amount of time together, then the best thing you can do is to say, "Hey, I'm done." But I've never been good at ending relationships too, so maybe I'm not the one.
That's tough.
It's
Closure is definitely something I never knew that I really needed until I couldn't get it, and it's it would be just so, it ain't even I want to get back with that person.
Yeah.
It's just that we got to talk about what happened, yo.
Yeah.
We got to talk about this,
God.
yo. But I can't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you've tried, you've banged down doors
Oh,
and
my
let's
goodness.
talk.
I've tried. Is the voice you perform in different than the one you speak in?
I think so. I want to say yes, because the voice I speak in when I'm on stage makes me nervous. It's a voice I've never heard. It's like a voice that I'm not used to, not never heard, but just not used to hearing. It's like something takes over your body and you just start raging or I don't know, speaking your truth.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say no. For me, that's part of the reason why I go by simply and everything you get from me is just me. So from hearing my poetry to reading my books, even how I write. When I write everything, it's just me. So with flaws and all, I don't go back and edit too much. When I write stuff, because I want people to see that this comes from this. I'm just a regular guy, like anybody else, and I just, have my highs and lows and my emotions like everyone else, but this is just me, everything I say is just me.
I feel that. I was gonna say, when you on stage, you do speak the same way that you do regularly. I would say I definitely speak with more aggression when I'm on stage than I do in normal, talking life. But it's because it's about the performance. I'm a slam poet. I'm not a sharing poems poet. I'm a slam poet, and when you slamming, you gotta bring that side out of you in order to get the point across to get that emotion out. So
and I will say that's what people when I've slammed that is one critique that I've heard countless times from me slamming is that man, some of your stuff is dope. But you gotta come with I gotta bring packing aggression behind lots of us, and because it's unconsciously I'm just already in this level, so it's hard to start here and then in here. Like I have to, if I'm gonna come down, I have to come off top, aggressive. But I don't think about it. I just go right into, you know, this is regular, simply, and you know, and you know, it's hard to try to get a, you know, more passionate or aggressive or whatnot. During quarantine, I wrote, you know, a few poems that I can't wait to get on stage and be able to perform because, you know, it has brought that side out of me, you know, now. But I need to be on stage. I need to be on stage and in front of people to be able to do it. But with everything going on in the world, I have had legit a few poems that have just really, I'm like, I just need to just release it, you know. But I need to be on stage for that. Like, I need people there so you can see, like, this is how I feel right now about it, you know. So.
Oh snap! I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so drawing a question. Do you still experience stage fright?
Yes, I do. Stage fright in the sense that I'm always nervous before I get on stage. You know, once I'm on stage, I'm perfectly fine. But everything leading up to the point, so especially when we're in competitions that require, we don't know where we're going, you know, so it's like a draw, you know. It's just always that, all right, when am I going to perform? Do I really want to perform this one? You know, how's the crowd going to receive it? But then once I get on stage, I am perfectly fine. Once I get on stage, I kind of black out and I'm good. But everything leading up to that point, I'm nervous. I'm nervous every time before I get on stage, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, and I would say the same. But it depends on how late I go in a slam. So like if we're just sharing poetry, I'm not nervous at all. Like if we just doing a show, if I was doing a feature, anything like that, I wouldn't be nervous because it's like it's nothing on the line. So I'm just gonna go up here and do my poem. If we in a slam, I get nervous before I go up. But the longer the slam goes on, like say like it's a bunch of people in front of me and then I go, I'll get more eager than nervous. Like the more I see other people doing it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready now. I want to get on stage. Like I'm eager to it. But say like he said, like if we're just drawing and you don't even know when you're gonna go on stage, then I do get nervous with that one. And then when they call you, be like, all right, now you next, and now you getting ready. Like you only got this amount of time to prepare. Then yeah, I do get nervous. You know.
I still get nervous. Even throughout my performance, I find my hands like shaking and my knees shake. I still get very, very nervous. Sometimes I'll drink and it'll calm me down, but I get nervous, yeah.
I say a lot of times, you know, for me, depending on, especially out here, you know, obviously the community is so small. We kind of have our, you know, familiar faces or whatnot. But if I know that I'm going to slam against certain people, I do get a little bit more nervous, you know, because then I'm like, all right, well, you know, I know now I really have to bring it, you know, because I already know what this person is probably going to score or whatnot. And then, like I said, score creep and all that thing, it's still a real thing. And not saying that people don't deserve their points and whatnot, but, you know, it is a real thing even out here, you know, so, you know, a lot of times I'll get anxious, you know. I guess that's probably better. When I'm not nervous, I get anxious, you know, for the moment, you know. So. Yeah,
definitely. There's like he said, there are certain people that make me nervous when I see them on stage. Definitely.
I hope I make you nervous.
All of y'all make me
I make you very nervous.
All of y'all make me nervous. Yes. There are certain people that I just be like, all right, this person's gonna go. All right, I'm good now. You know, y'all make me nervous.
Ooh. Favorite word or words you use often in your poetry?
Ooh. I like you see. I'm trying to get rid of it. You see. This is what I'm trying. No.
You know what? I'm gonna let you go next, but that might be, honestly, you see might be a thing for me. Like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going through poems in my head. I've said you see.
Shoot, that's a good question. I think I use the word perception a lot.
Okay.
And I also use, of course, anxiety. I use that word probably the most. Anxiety and perception. Probably some other ones. definitely.
That's a tough one. That's a tough question. That's a real tough question though. Like, you got to, when you go back to your whole poetry bank, and it's like,
right?
Scrolling
through poems. Wait a minute, where is it?
I just started to do that, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do all that.
I mean, I know I use the a lot. That's the one. I know that's the one.
Jeez,
No, I saw a meme, and it was like, what is it? Beginning poets always do these things, and they say UC was one of them. UC, and that was another one. All of those.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So
UC is something that I do use. I know that for a fact.
But Anthony and I are not beginning poets.
No, you're not. That and that's where we was coming. Somebody commented on there like, "Yo, y'all need to stop with this toxicness." Toxicity is another word I use a lot. There it is. I use that one too. Oh yeah, that's probably the one I use the most.
I gotta watch for that.
Toxicity. Yeah, because I call myself out as much as I call anybody else out, and I definitely have toxic traits. So yeah.
Okay,
I'm going. Okay.
You're the last person. This is our last question.
Make it a good one.
Last question. Ooh, the best one.
Uh-oh.
Name your poet crush.
Oh,
I love that.
Oh, we talking about local?
Anywhere, I guess.
Anywhere, I guess. Let's do this. Let's say local and national. Oh, they all just sound so.
Poet crush how? Like you like their poetry or you like them? Because there's like two different things at play here.
Either one.
It's gotta be y'all, man.
Y'all?
Yeah, y'all. I'm game. Ghanaian, African. Local. I'm trying to think local. I'm like, I don't want to be biased. I'm gonna skip that question.
Okay,
Let
that's
Anthony
cool.
answer.
That's cool.
I'll be real. I don't know that I have like an international poet crush. I don't really think I have an international poet. I like a lot of people's poetry, so I don't really know if I have a crush. I haven't never really looked at like international poets, like crush. Now locally, I have crushed on Kendra pretty tough.
Yes.
Hey, I have with her watermelon in watermelon in
Yes.
So I will say I have crushed on her locally.
Kendra.
Yeah, I can't.
I think it would behoove me to not say Destiny was my hugest poetry crush of life.
Okay.
First time I saw her do a poem, I was like, who is this woman? And how can I know her? I ain't gonna talk too much detail after what that happened, but definitely. Internationally or whatever, Crystal Valentine. Oh my God, yo, when I hear Crystal Valentine do I don't care what it is she's talking about, my heart just melts out of my ears, bro. She's so good, and I love her. She's like my favorite poet of all time.
Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having fun with me. Hopefully we can pick this up again and finish up all these questions that we didn't get
Most
to.
Definitely.
Thank you again for having us. Can I do a quick plug?
Yes, and then plug yourself with all your handles, stuff you're doing, where people can find you, maybe date you since you are single.
Well, bet it. Slide in DMs at Z from Baltimore on IG. I am working with Christian Center and the Factory, doing some videos on YouTube. So look out for those things. Check them out at the Factory Honolulu, at the Factory HNL. And I'm working on a book that's just in the works. Just follow me in everywhere. Just Google me, man.
And then me as well, to piggyback off Z, if you want to go see a more intense video interview, go to Factory H&L, Christian Center. You have like a 2-hour interview that you can go view if you want to go to get to know a little bit more about me, my poetry, my views on a lot of things. Also, if you want to go on Amazon, check out couple of my books. I have Care Package and Am I Really out right now. Follow me on Instagram, Chico_Suave15. And right now available on all music streams. Go check out the Don Julio freestyle. Me and my boy Jericho the Shocker. It's my first rap track that ever been put out. Go check it out right now.
All right, JWM family, all of this information will be in the episode notes. So if you didn't quite catch it, I'll put in the links. Okay, thank you so much for having fun with me. This is it for today's episode. Until then, mahulokwe kiotaba rwile. Aloha.
Thank you for tuning in. We would love to grow our family. So if you love this episode, then please follow us on Instagram @JourneyWithMpo. And share this show with your friends and family. And if you would like to take your support to the next level, then visit us on our Patreon page. This is where listeners can become real friends and family with us. Finally, we love hearing from you. So if you are listening through Apple Podcasts, please don't be shy, leave us a review. Thank you, and we will see you on the next episode.